They didn't break your heart. They broke your mind, and then handed you the pieces like it was your fault. That's the part no one talks about. Not the screaming matches or the tears. That's easy to spot. What cuts deeper is the mental distortion. The slow, quiet theft of your reality. One twisted sentence at a time. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. You're just not trying hard enough. They didn't destroy you directly. They let you do it while they stood by and called it love. This isn't a relationship. It's psychological warfare, dressed up as intimacy. If part 1 showed you the architecture of manipulation, part 2 is about destroying the blueprint. Because understanding is not enough. Now it's about strategy, precision, silence when they expect protest, boundaries when they expect guilt, power where they expected weakness. You don't escape a narcissist by confronting them. You escape by becoming untouchable. And if you're here, it means you're ready for that. So here's the call. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs to stop explaining their pain to people who cause it. Subscribe to Victory Stoic, because here we don't recover to be softer. We recover to become unshakable. In the comments, drop one of two things: your story of clarity or our shared commandment. No more mirrors, no more fixing, no more apologies for walking away. Because what's coming in this next part isn't comfort. It's confrontation with truth. Truth that hurts more than their silence. Truth that explains why every time you thought you were fixing things, you were just tightening the leash. Truth that exposes the real addiction, not to them, but to the fantasy that one day they'd wake up and treat you right. They won't. That's not pessimism. That's tactical awareness. This part is going to show you how to sever the emotional supply chain, how to stop feeding the system that keeps you small, quiet, confused, how to see every sorry they threw at you as a tool, not a transformation, and how to become the version of yourself that doesn't just walk away, but walks away clean. You don't out-argue a narcissist. You don't heal them. You outgrow them so completely, they can't reach who you are now, even if they tried. Let's continue. They've had the stage long enough. Number 7. You don't fight or fix a narcissist. You exit like smoke. The most powerful thing you can do with a narcissist isn't to expose them. It's to stop playing your role in their show and leave the stage so quietly that they're still talking to the curtain when you're already gone. See, most people think there are only two options: fight or comply. Either you confront the narcissist, calling out their lies, their contradictions, their cruelty, or you submit, stay small, try to keep the peace, convince them to be better. But there's a third way, a stoic way, the only one that actually works. Strategic disappearance, not ghosting, not revenge, not running away in fear. A calm, deliberate, surgical exit, not to escape them, but to reclaim you. A Stoic doesn't swing at shadows. They don't waste energy on chaos. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In other words, while they bait you with insults, traps, and half apologies, you stop responding. Not because you're weak, but because you've outgrown the need to explain. Let's talk about someone who got it right. Ray, 43, from Minneapolis. Worked in logistics, divorced once, tough guy, didn't talk about feelings much. Met a woman who swept him off his feet, beautiful, exciting, magnetic. But by year 2, he was drained. Every conversation turned into an interrogation. Every compliment had strings. She'd provoke him until he snapped, then cry and say, "See, this is why I act the way I do." Classic reversal. At first, Ray did what most of us do. Tried to reason, tried to fix, tried to hold on. But one day, after a 3-hour argument about nothing, he just stopped. Didn't storm out, didn't scream. He simply said, "You win. I'm done talking, I'm done proving, and I'm done staying." Then, over the next week, he moved his things, blocked her number, and disappeared. No final fight. No emotional confessional. No message sent at 2 a.m. hoping she'd finally get it. Ray didn't leave to punish her. He left to stop punishing himself. That's what this number is about. Not confrontation, not cooperation, but controlled exit. You don't need a declaration. You don't need closure. You don't even need them to understand why. Because they won't. Understanding requires empathy. And they don't process your pain, they repurpose it. Here's your exit. You're not walking out of a house. You're diffusing a bomb. Every reaction is a wire. Every explanation, a trigger. Your calm silence, that's the wire cutter. Because narcissists expect noise, your stillness shocks their system. Let's get tactical. Tip 1. Set your date before you disengage. If you're living with them, don't confront. Plan. Find your apartment, secure your finances, pack without drama. This isn't fleeing, it's precision. A stoic retreat, not emotional escape. Tip 2. Cut access clean. Block, mute, vanish. Don't leave a thread dangling for them to pull on. They will bait you. They'll send nostalgic photos, I miss you texts, half apologies. Stay gone. You're not ignoring them, you're protecting your nervous system. Tip 3. Give no feedback. You don't need to tell them what they did wrong. That only reactivates the cycle. They'll twist it, play victim, draw you back in. Your silence is not cowardice. It's a locked door. Feedback is for people who want to grow. This one doesn't. Psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula, an expert on narcissistic abuse, says it best. Don't expect closure from someone who profits from your confusion. If you wait for a clean ending, you'll bleed out emotionally while they stay busy rewriting the story to make themselves the hero. And don't confuse this with ghosting. Ghosting is emotional immaturity. Strategic exit is emotional clarity. It's you understanding that when the battlefield is built to trap you, your only winning move is to stop playing. A final thought from the Stoic philosopher Seneca. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not to fight, but to fold the map they've trapped you in, walk out of the maze, and never look back. No goodbye, no confession, no revenge. Just absence. Cold, clean, undeniable absence. And that's the end they never saw coming. Number 8. Make no a reflex, and let silence finish the sentence. A narcissist doesn't hear your words. They scan for leverage. Every time you say no and then explain, they hear, this is negotiable. Every explanation you offer becomes a new battlefield. Every clarification a new contract you didn't agree to sign. You think you're being reasonable. They think you're still available. This is why your no needs to be not just clear but reflexive. Not loud, not dramatic, not defensive. Just immovable, like a wall that doesn't raise its voice to prove it's solid. Let's reframe it. Saying no to a narcissist isn't a confrontation, it's a containment strategy. Because here's the trick, they don't always come at you with demands. Sometimes it's charm, a favor, a tiny request, a you're the only one I can count on. You say yes, thinking you're being generous, but now the hook is in. And the moment you try to back away, they pull, but you said, and now you're explaining. Again, you're not obligated to justify why you don't want to be used. The Stoics taught this long before modern psychology did. Epictetus said, keep your will in harmony with nature, and you will be free. Your will is your choice, and your ability to say no without drama is the muscle that makes you dangerous to manipulators. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Melissa, 37, from San Diego, had a narcissistic co-parent. He'd ask for favors masked as emergencies, babysitting switch-ups, last-minute schedule changes, errands. If she said no, he'd guilt her. I guess I'll just cancel my meeting then. Good to know you don't care. The moment she explained why she was busy, how she'd planned ahead, how he was being unfair, he pounced. You're so defensive. I just asked a simple question. Eventually, Melissa stopped explaining. She didn't fight, didn't argue. He'd ask, and she'd simply say, that won't work for me. If he kept talking, she nodded once, said nothing more, and left the room. No emotional fuel, no second round, no entry point. And it worked. Because narcissists don't need you to say yes, they just need you to respond. They feed on the loop. Break the loop and you starve the pattern. So here's the make your no so quiet, so calm, and so consistent, it becomes invisible armor. Sometimes it's just a neutral look, a non-response, a soft shake of the head. You don't have to declare war, you just have to deny access. Think of it this way, you're a locked door. Not a door that slams, not one that yells, you can't come in, just one that stays shut. They'll knock, maybe louder, maybe softer, but if it doesn't open, they eventually stop knocking. Practice this today, the nod and redirect. Someone tries to push you into a conversation or favor you don't want, nod, say Then change the subject, walk away, or return to your task. No defense, no explanation. You're not rejecting them, you're refusing to participate. This is not coldness, it's clarity. This is not rudeness, it's restraint. This is not silence to punish, it's silence to protect. And to a narcissist, that's not a quiet exit. It's a blaring signal that says access denied permanently. Number 9, shut the doors. Every channel is an invitation to re-enter. Narcissists don't need a key, they just need a crack in the door. A DM left open, a shared Google Drive, a forgotten calendar event, a memory post they tag you in. You think it's harmless, you think you're done, but you left the window unlocked, and they know exactly how to slip through it. Never underestimate their charm or their timing. They don't show up when you're strong. They reappear when you're lonely, when you're doubting yourself, when life feels just unsettled enough that their text saying, "I miss you," feels like closure instead of bait, because they are clever and seductive. That's how you got pulled in the first time. Not because you were naive, but because they were skilled. Narcissists are emotional tacticians. They know when to flatter, when to ghost, when to provoke, and when to reappear just remorseful enough to make you second-guess your exit. Every channel of contact, no matter how small, is a lever they know how to pull. Seneca once warned, "A wound will heal only when the weapon is removed." Staying just friends, keeping them just muted, or watching their stories to keep an eye on them, that's keeping the blade in the flesh. It doesn't bleed, but it doesn't close either. Take James, 39, from Austin. After leaving a narcissistic ex, he told himself he'd block her when it got bad. Meanwhile, he kept receiving her emails. Short, sweet, ambiguous, sometimes angry, sometimes nostalgic. "Just wondering how you are. Do you remember our trip? I know I messed up. I'm not asking for anything. I just miss your voice." He didn't respond, but he read every one, reread them. Some nights he'd start drafting replies. He didn't send them, but the emotional grip was still there. Not from her presence, but from the channel. That thin string of communication kept him emotionally tethered long after the breakup. Until one day, he deleted the thread, blocked the address, locked his social, burned the bridge properly, and then the silence felt real. So how do you apply this? Step 1, audit every contact point. Social media, email, shared accounts, mutual group chats. Make a list. Shut them down. Don't trust yourself to ignore. That's like keeping candy in the cabinet to practice willpower. Just don't buy it. Step 2, go nuclear if you have to. Block, not mute, not restrict. Block, they'll notice. Let them. This isn't petty. This is protocol. You're not hurting their feelings. You're protecting your nervous system. Step 3, fill the silence before they do. Have people, have projects, have a structure. Narcissists return to chaos. If your world feels empty, they'll offer to fill it. Make sure it's already full, with peace, purpose, and people who don't play games. Think of it this way. Every communication channel is like a door with a peephole. They knock just loud enough to make you look. And once you're looking, they're already halfway inside. You don't need to look. You don't need to listen. You need to seal the house. Because the narcissist doesn't care how far you've come. They care whether they can still reach you. And if they can't, that's not just silence. That's power. Number 10, do the inner work. Not for revenge, but so you never repeat it. If you've been with a narcissist, it didn't just happen to you. It happened through you. That doesn't mean you deserved it, but it does mean this. Something in you let them in, and something in you kept them there. And until you face that, you will attract it again. Maybe with a different face, a smoother voice, a better disguise, but the same underlying poison. You can blame them for what they did. And yes, they manipulated, twisted, used, and depleted you. But the real shift doesn't happen when you blame them. It happens when you unpack what in you left the door open. Were you too forgiving because you were raised to be nice? Did you mistake intensity for intimacy? Did you believe love means fixing broken people because someone taught you that pain is part of the package? Were you so afraid of being alone that you let chaos feel like connection? If any of that hit hard, good. That's where we start. The Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus wrote, "It is not enough merely to desire the good, we must also work to become good." In other words, insight isn't enough. You have to train your mind, your instincts, your boundaries, especially after they've been warped. Narcissists don't just drain your energy, they rewire your standards. They teach you to tolerate confusion, explain away disrespect, and call it empathy. They reward you when you self-abandon, then punish you when you finally speak up. And you, because you're either still healing, still unsure, or still stuck in a belief that you need to earn love, accept it longer than you should. That's the pattern. And it ends with you, not with them. Let's ground this in a real story. Olivia, 32, a graphic designer in Brooklyn, spent 3 years with someone who never hit her, never yelled, never cheated, but left her emotionally bankrupt. Every time she had a boundary, he'd sulk. Every time she had a need, he'd go quiet. She told herself he was just avoidant, just stressed, doing his best. She journaled, went to therapy, tried to understand his trauma, all while her own needs went unmet. When it ended, she was furious, not at him, at herself, for making excuses, for ignoring her gut, for mistaking breadcrumbs for nourishment. But then she did something most people never do. She stopped looking outward. She asked, what in me was starving enough to call that love? And then she got to work. That's what this number is about. Not healing to look strong, but healing to be clear. So how do you start? Step 1. Stop calling it a mistake. Call it what it was, a mirror. They didn't break you. They revealed what was already fragile. That's not shameful. That's useful. One clear wound is better than 10 buried ones. Step 2. Audit your patterns. Write down 3 relationships where you gave too much and asked too little. What did you ignore? What did you excuse? What did you keep calling love that was really emotional labor? That's your curriculum now. Step 3. Choose your new standard and practice it. Not when it's convenient, but when it's hardest. When someone attractive, exciting, intense comes along, but your gut whispers not this time, listen. Your new life depends on that moment. Here's the metaphor. You were walking with an open wound, and the narcissist, they didn't stab you, they touched it. Then told you the pain was your fault. Now you have 2 choices. Cover it up and hope no one presses it again, or clean it, stitch it, and never hand it to the wrong person again. This isn't about never trusting again. It's about trusting yourself more than you trust the promise of potential. You don't do this inner work to show them what they lost. You do it so you never again lose yourself like that. Once is enough. Once is too much. They weren't your soulmate. They were your syllabus. Now it's time to pass the test and never repeat the class. Number 11. When you disappear, they unravel. That's when you know you've truly outsmarted them. The narcissist doesn't fear losing you. They fear losing your reaction, your attention, your stage. You were the spotlight, the script, the applause, the entire theater. And when you go dark, not with drama, not with threats, but with calm, permanent absence, you don't just leave the relationship. You end the show. Let's be clear. Narcissists don't need love. They need an audience. And for a long time, you played the part. You responded to every dig. You clarified every misquote. You cried on cue, apologized on demand, and tried to be the better person. Not anymore. Because now, you're not blocking them to make a statement. You're not ignoring them to punish. You're vanishing, mentally, emotionally, energetically. No closure, no exit monologue, just a locked door and the echo of silence. And that silence? It's deafening to them. It drives them wild. Because they can't control what they can't contact, and they can't spin what they can't see. Narcissists spiral not when you fight, but when you stop performing. When the curtain drops mid-scene and they realize the theater is empty. That's not just loss to them. That's ego death. That's a spotlight gone cold. Take Jordan, 35, from Chicago. His ex was the master of provocation, compliments followed by digs, intimacy followed by withdrawal. Every time he tried to leave, she pulled him back with a breadcrumb. I've been thinking about us. I miss the old you. I'm ready to talk. He used to bite every time. Until one day he didn't. He didn't text back. He didn't block. He didn't explain. He just stopped responding. Entirely. She messaged, called, tagged, fake emergencies, mutual friends, nothing. The silence didn't just anger her, it exposed her. Because without his reaction, her tactics collapsed. That's the win. The Stoic philosopher Cleanthes once wrote, "He who does not react to insult removes its sting." In the narcissist's world, your silence isn't passive, it's power. It's you choosing dignity over spectacle, reality over illusion. Want a tip? Practice this. Vanish not with rage, but with indifference. You don't slam the door, you close it gently and lock it forever. No response is the final word. No return is the highest boundary. You don't post about your peace, you live it. Here's your metaphor. They built a circus. You were the main act. You did flips, danced through fire, balanced every emotion on a wire. The crowd cheered, they grinned. Then one night you walked out the tent quietly, calmly, while the lights were still on. No goodbye, no final bow, just gone. And they're still standing in the ring, juggling for no one, wondering why the applause stopped. That's not just escape, that's domination. Number 12, you don't win by proving them wrong. You win by thriving without them. They expected you to break, to crawl back, to stalk their stories, send long messages at midnight, second-guess your worth, and shrink in their absence. They never expected this, you glowing without them. You laughing again, sleeping through the night, building, lifting, evolving. Loving yourself louder than they ever did you. They didn't plan for your silence to become strength, for your solitude to become power, for your life without them to become a living, breathing contradiction to every lie they told about you. Because a narcissist's greatest fear isn't being exposed. It's being forgotten. Not blocked, but irrelevant. Not fought, but outgrown. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Is it not madness and the wildest lunacy to desire only to be praised by your oppressor?" But that's what you did, didn't you? You tried to earn dignity from someone who couldn't even spell the word. Not anymore. Now you've stopped trying to explain, to convince, to defend. You're not sitting in the ruins hoping they return with glue. You're building a castle. And they see it? Oh, they see it. They may pretend they don't, but trust this. Narcissists always look back. They'll scroll. They'll check. They'll hear about you. And when they do, they'll realize the cruelest truth of all. You became magnificent without their love. Not because of their absence, but in spite of it. Take Aiden, 44, from Denver. For years, he let his narcissistic partner define him. Every win minimized, every flaw magnified. He stopped painting, stopped running, stopped smiling. Post-breakup, he didn't post quotes or declarations. He rebuilt. He launched his own design firm. Ran a marathon, reconnected with old friends, no announcement, no revenge arc, just growth. Months later, she texted, "You seem different lately." He didn't reply. He didn't need to. His life was the response. Here's the metaphor. You don't light your fire to burn them. You light it to guide yourself home. But from far away, that fire, it looks a lot like glory. And to them, it looks like regret. So here's your mission. Don't chase revenge. Chase radiance. Let your peace be louder than your pain. Let your purpose speak in the silence where their voice used to be. Let your joy be the thunder they never saw coming. That's the real victory. Not proving they were the villain, but proving you were never meant to stay small. And the brighter you burn, the colder their spotlight feels. Conclusion, you didn't just walk away, you walked into power. They thought you'd stay. Maybe beg, maybe break. What they never expected was silence. Not the cold kind, not the manipulative kind, just the kind that says, "I see you now, and I'm done." No screaming, no parting speech, just absence. Real, clean, permanent absence. You didn't leave to punish, you didn't disappear to get attention. You left because staying was the real damage. You stopped explaining, stopped negotiating, stopped bleeding for someone who fed on your confusion. And in that choice, you did the one thing they feared most. You reclaimed yourself. Narcissists never fear confrontation. They feed on it. They want the argument. They want the apology. They want you caught in the loop. But when the loop ends, when the audience walks out, when the mirror turns blank, they crumble. They don't miss you. They miss your role, your reaction, your reflection. But it's too late, because now you've stopped playing the part. You've stopped waiting for the apology that was never coming. You're not hunting for closure in the same place you lost your dignity. You've moved on, not in words, but in energy, in peace, in the quiet, powerful act of living well without asking permission. You didn't just survive them, you outgrew them. And that's the real victory. Not revenge, not proving them wrong, just becoming someone they can no longer reach, no longer read, no longer control. So if this message hit something in you, if it reminded you of who you used to be and who you're finally becoming, like this video, share it with someone who's still stuck in the loop, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. We don't chase peace through other people, we build it, one hard truth at a time. And in the comments, drop either your story or the line we stand by together. No more mirrors, no more fixing, no more apologies for walking away. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for surviving what was never love, and choosing, this time, not to perform.